Good afternoon, good evening. Felt like I was frozen for a second. Man, we starting to thaw out. I know I went somewhere. If you had good weather, raise your hand. Anyway, this is your host, Impeccable. This is the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro-American newspaper. We just shortened it as Afro News. We're now a media company, the nation's oldest, 132 years of serving African Americans and Black folk, Black folk. Who says folk? Somebody's grandmother still says folk, but all around the country and the world, you can now reach. We can be reached. Boy. All right, let's take two. You know what? The funny thing about life is you can't edit it anymore. I mean, if you took a Kodak picture, it just took the picture and that was the picture, right? Now everybody wants to edit everything in their life. So I'm going to edit myself and take two. This is the Chicken Box. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're not from the Baltimore area, shame on you. No, if you've never had a chicken box, it is full wings. It is fries. It's greasy. It's nice. I mean, it's good. I don't even eat fried food no more. But every time I hear the word chicken box, I want a chicken box. But we have some fantastic guests today. All of my co-hosts are gone. So I'm missing them. I'm missing all my digital friends. So I'm going to bring on some new friends today, some Morganites and some of their friends. And we're going to be talking about the Hip Hop Day of Service. Why don't I just start it off so I don't feel too lonely. Dr. Tenyo Pearl, how are you?
I'm doing well, Impeccable. I'm happy to be here. And I say folk. I still say folk.
I know. What is that an old word, folk? Anyway, Dr. Pearl from Compensate, what have you been up to?
Well, thank you, Impeccable. In my role as a higher ed faculty member, I have the honor to prepare the next generation of nonprofit leaders and change agents. So I have served as a faculty working in higher ed for over 20 plus years, and it's just a great thing. So one of my research focus is about how to prepare the next generation of nonprofit leaders, change agents, and those advocates that want to make a difference. And one of the research focus is how the role of hip hop can influence those next gen leaders to get involved in community service and civic engagement. So I have two dynamic committee members with me here today, and
we'll just like to bring on first.
I would like to bring on the president and CEO of Community House Associates Incorporated, Nico Sanders. So he is one of our committee members, joined, and just so I can share, our second committee member is Renee Myrie. She works for the Circuit Court for Baltimore, Juvenile Court Services. And what's unique about Renee's story is she started off as a volunteer for the first annual Hip Hop Day of Service. And then the second year, she became a committee member, and she has unique lived experiences. So I would love for us to talk about what is it, and I can share what it's all about if you would like for me to do that.
All right, well, I'm just going to say hello to Nico first, and then we're going to get right into the conversation. Nico, welcome to the box, as we call it.
Thank you, sir. I have my virtual salt, pepper, and ketchup ready to go.
Now you trying to make me hungry. Somebody, okay, I'm Renee. You got some fans out there. Anyway, Nico, why don't you just give us just 30 seconds about who you are and what you do, and then we're gonna get it.
Yeah. So as the wonderful intro, President CEO of Community Housing Associates, we are a nonprofit organization that houses those that are homeless and mentally ill in Baltimore City, and have been doing that since 1988.
Absolutely. Welcome to the box. We're gonna jump into the Hip Hop Day of Service. Is Dr. Pearl? Is this your creation?
Yes, it is. Impeccable. I recall watching one of your podcasts, and you talked about being a member of Gen X. So, we're Gen Xers. So during the 50th hip hop anniversary, got all excited about it. And then had a chance to go to the LL Cool J concert and started thinking about, well, what is hip hop? What was it like when we were first introduced to the genre, listening to AM radio and listening to groups like the New Marks and the We Rock Crew. So when I thought about it, I remembered The Message by Sugar Hill Records, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and the role that the mother of Sugar Hill Records, Sylvia Robinson played in that. She allowed the youth to use their voice to talk about things that were happening in a marginalized community. So we talk about broken windows everywhere. So as an educator of 20 plus years, there is a theory that talks about the broken windows theory, and I have it written down here. So James Wilson and George Keeling, they discovered the broken windows theory in 1982. And this theory actually suggests that visible signs of disorder, broken windows, grass, trash, if you have it, it will be like a brewing ground for a crime to happen. So what we didn't know during that time, or which I didn't know while we were jamming, listening to AM radio, is that when the Grandmaster Flash was talking about the things that were happening in marginalized communities, that it's a clarion call, it's a call for action. So I talk to my scholars often about the hip hop that we grew up on versus some of the mainstream hip hop, and it's all about making a difference and bringing attention to things. And if we hear about it, let's do something about it.
Dr. Pearl, she brought a guest. If you just tuned in, we're talking about the Hip Hop Day of Service. It's going to be the third week. We said, November 15th, 2025. We will find out more information from that. But before we get started, Renee, how are you?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Fantastic. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, and then we're going to jump into the conversation, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renee Myrie. I am the Juvenile Court Services Coordinator for the Circuit Court, Baltimore City. And with that is a few different programs, but the program that is associated with at-risk youth is the LINKS program. With that, we work with at-risk youth who have been referred for support, adjudicated teens who are directly involved and were sent by the judge or magistrate for program support services. And some of them come with issues such as behavioral issues and challenges, nefarious behaviors that kind of date back, where it's been like a cycle. We're trying to catch them before it becomes where they transition from being a teenager to being an adult and then have to deal with recidivism. So we want to kind of intervene and address whatever traumas they're enduring to kind of support them so that they don't end up, with the same cycle that we see oftentimes with a lot of people who come from different backgrounds, trauma, broken homes. With that, we also include art. We also include music. We have field trips. There's plenty of youth who have never even left Baltimore City. So some of the things that we do introduces them to things they haven't been a part of before. And we try to just find whatever that spark may be to inspire them for change.
Is there an age range, Renee?
Yes. With our groups, it's usually ages 12, 13 to 17. So we try to get them right at that core age of being teenagers with everything that's going on with being a teenager in today's world.
So we've heard that word before, at risk.
Yes. That umbrella it encapsulates a lot of things. So there are some youth, it's at home where they're being exposed to trauma. For some, it's at school. It's an environmental thing. It can be social media. TikTok has, and I'm not blaming the app, but TikTok has introduced a lot of children to ways where they can steal cars with just an iPhone charger. Mm-hmm. With that, we've seen a surge with the few different law changes in the state of Maryland, House Bill 504, if I'm quoting that correctly, and a few others. Children can now be charged earlier. And so with that, we're seeing where there's a shift in dynamics of people 10 and 11 being able to be charged with crimes. So we just want to make sure that we're providing support, resources. A lot of parents don't have the natural supports that come with those who come from maybe a two-parent household and other things. So we want to make sure that we are doing what we can to link them to what it is that they need. Hence the name LINKS stands for Leveraging Inclusive Networks and Knowledge and Support. So we just try to fill that gap in whatever way we can. We're not full service, obviously, being associated with Circuit Court. So with that, we work with several different programs in the city of Baltimore to make sure that Baltimore has a lot of programs. So let's just get that out there. So we work with everyone, Keys in Power, Roberta's House. There's quite a few change makers who are really out here just doing what they can to support our at-risk youth. So I don't want it to be an offensive term. It's one of those, okay, how can we help you?
Right, because when you hear at risk, is it at risk of doing something that could harm their path in life? Is that pretty much what you mean? The direction that the roads that they're choosing.
We want our children to strengthen that muscle of critical thinking, to be able to recognize, when there's something going on. You recognize when you're getting upset. You can't just crash out. I need you to be able to choose something different. And for them, that's a muscle that needs strengthening. Somebody at home isn't always working with them to recognize that, because sometimes the communication is, I'm upset, I'm yelling at you. I'm upset, you're getting a whooping. So that's all they know is to respond physically or aggressively. So we want to challenge them to think differently. This might be what happened. And it's what, again, to give a little more background, we address anger management. As far as, again, critical thinking, I need you to choose different. We can do live simulations, different things, just something to kind of get them to really think. Because when that situation or whatever occurs, this is your future. That one split decision that's being made can change the trajectory of your future forever.
That's a good point.
I would say,
Mhm.
if I can add to what Renee is saying, it ties into the Hip Hop Day of Service, which is also the Youth Homeless Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because Hip Hop Day of Service is about unity, about family. What Renee is speaking about our at-risk youth, it can lead and does lead to folks becoming unhoused. And there has to be a bridge where we have our young folks making better decisions that would allow them to stay a path that they are less likely to be unhoused. And sometimes they can be doing all the right things, right? We know this is not 100%. They can be doing all the right things and become unhoused. Their family that is the support system is also can become unhoused. I think I just saw something yesterday with one of the former members of En Vogue, been unhoused for 3 years. I mean, this is not something that is new to people, but it can be jarring to someone who has lived under a roof for so many years and then no longer have that. And so it's important, especially during these current political climate, that we as a community, the Afro being around as long as it has seen a change throughout decades of our growth as Black people, that we have to rely on one another, and nonprofits have to work together, not operate in silos. I think this Hip Hop Day service ties all that in, that the resources that are able to be brought to the table that are specific for youth help them in their journey.
Absolutely, Nico. Thank you for bringing that point up. I mean, a lot of us don't even think about it, but I mean, unhoused. They've used other terms. I like unhoused, just the basics that some of us take for granted. Because you be in your world a lot, and you don't have a chance to step outside. But if you could be unselfish just for a minute, that's why it's fantastic to have just human beings like yourselves who just care. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's coming to save us. Surprise, right? They're just gonna talk about us. They're gonna steal from our culture. They've been stealing from our inventions and our creation and our creativity for years. But we just continue to go back and get slapped in the face. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, let's turn around. Let's circle up. Turn our backs to them. And let's come together. Now, is it like, if it's not a clearer time in the history of at least our lifetime, now we're gonna come through everything that's going on, y'all. But we have to be for each other.
Yes.
And we thank everybody who's tuning in. We got Stephanie, Alicia, John, Jeremy. Put in where you live, guys. We always like to know where you're from. Thank you for joining in on the conversation. But Black media has been the voice of the Black community, at least here at the Afro, for 132 years. If it wasn't for Black media, nobody's going to tell our stories.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to nobody controls our editorial. Nobody tells us what we can talk about, so we can have conversations like this. Dominique from Charlotte, I see, and at least stem somebody to do something. You're not going to help the whole world by yourself unless you're God. But the person that you can reach, you can touch. Dr. Pearl,
yes,
Hip Hop Day of Service. She talked about the difference. You were throwing some lyrics out. What's different between hip hop when it started? We say we just celebrated 50 years, and now, what do you think?
Well, I just recall being inspired. I just believe that some of the artists, such as KRS-One, Queen Latifah, and the list goes on and on. It was a message behind many of the things about empowerment. although we do have some artists today that have powerful messages, and I try to search for the artists, although I love hip hop, the traditional hip hop, and I rely on my scholars, my students, to tell me what's prevalent. And I know that Kendrick Lamar is one of those hip hop artists that tries to bring awareness to different types of advocacy issues and things of that nature. And I think that one important unique thing about Hip Hop Day of Service, it stresses the legacy of hip hop as being a call to action, a clarion call, and using it as a innovative model to bring about service. So on the third Saturday of the month, what you'll see, we've had it for 2 years so far, 2023 and 2024. And I have to acknowledge the Franciscan Center of Baltimore, because that's where it was held. It's a center that serves the unhoused, and it just encouraged the youth to show up, to participate in being a part of bringing in-kind donations and providing services to those that are in need, but also is providing access for community service and civic engagement opportunity. Impeccable, I just need to say, 20 plus years of working in higher education and working with the next gen leaders who are interested in working with nonprofits. Majority of the scholars, no matter what their majors are, and if they decide to minor or get their credentials in nonprofit leadership, they have a desire for purpose, and they want to see how their degree will make a difference. So I just think that Hip Hop Day of Service is a platform to just keep the legacy of what we know hip hop it's all about. It's about a message. It's not many of the things that we often hear about it.
Absolutely, it has revolutionized music, culture, fashion. I mean, you name it, hip hop. You know, it got to a point where, you know, it was exciting. It was entertaining. It had like this great energy, even stage performance. You know what I mean? You know, and I used to be a DJ, what you probably
I recall
back in the day, and you know, so when the first hip hop record came out, I was playing it. You know what I mean? And you could sing all of the words to everything back then, and everybody's laughing probably in the Gen X. You know, but I got kids now. I don't know if you guys have kids.
yes,
Some of that stuff, I'm just like,
right.
yeah.
So it's about storytelling, and it was about bringing a difference.
Right.
And
It was about poetry. It was about, you know, it was about art to some crazy beats, you know, and to some, but I'm glad that it's connected to learning. Renee, talk to me. How's Hip Hop Day of Service? What are you anticipating about this day?
What I'm anticipating, getting there early and with the setup. Many of the unhoused were already wrapped around the building way before the start time, and that warms my heart. It's the things that we take for granted every day. Going home to a house that has gas and electric, having a coat for days when it's chilly, you know, having access to a warm meal, you know, them being able to stand out there that early just shows their commitment to, you know, absolutely taking in these resources, and that it lets us know that we're doing something that matters. I just following Dr. Pearl's lead with all of this, and it's just being a part of it. It's just something that's a passion for me. As a youth who actually survived homelessness and different things coming up, it's important for me to give back full circle, as I feel I was always raised to do. I'm very humble, and being a homeless teenager, I lived that. So with that, being a part of this to help those who are unhoused, you know, we don't just say homeless people or homeless teen. Words matter, and there's power in words. So the unhoused, it's passion for me. So this will be our third year in November. If we can get people to donate, I actually just had a presentation with the judges and magistrates yesterday, prompting them early. When we are asking to give back, it's the things that everybody can spring clean. You know, if you don't feel like lugging it into work, ask anybody who knows me. I come pick it up. I think 3 trips, Dr. Pearl, picking and dropping. I don't worry about gas. It's going to come back another way. I'm blessed. You know, so with that, we definitely have to put the word out there to get more donations, you know, to make sure that we have the things that we need, even with clothing racks and different things like that. So we have a setup so that everything it just flows the day of. Even when we're nervous, we just make sure that from the Dr. Pearl. Nico, powerhouse. Mr. Nico.
KN says, hey, KN.
He did. Don't worry about it.
I don't know who you are, but thank you for tuning in. Words are very important. Are there any donation links that you guys have?
If whoever's interested can reach out to the email, Be More Hip Hop Legacy for Life, and we'll be able to forward all of the information if you're interested in joining the drive and also to donate. We'll do that. It's important for you to realize that we partner with various nonprofit organizations. For year 2023 and 2024, we did partner with the Franciscan Center, and we're looking to expand the Hip Hop Day of Service with additional nonprofits. And we will explain information for those who are interested in donating to a cause. We'll send you information about that. Impeccable, may I just interject that in addition to the day of service, what actually evolved from it, we had a number of Coppin scholars. I am a faculty member at Coppin State University. We had some scholars from Morgan, from alma mater, from Towson, from Stevenson. It was a number of college students that was present. Last March 2024, during the legislative session, we had 3 scholars from Coppin to go to the State House to lobby for Senate Bill 646, which evolved from the Hip Hop Day of Service to make Hip Hop Day of Service a commemorative day. And I need to acknowledge former Senator Joe Carter, who sponsored the bill, and also Corey McCray, who was the co-sponsor of the bill. Although the bill did not make it out of committee, it was still a great learning experience for the students to talk about their experience, learning about the legacy of hip hop, participating in Hip Hop Day of Service, and now going to use their voice to advocate for something to make it a commemorable day. So we had 3 scholars along with Reverend Hall from the Franciscan Center to provide testimony how this could be a day to help make a difference.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Hip Hop Day of Service. We got Dr. Pearl, Renee. How do you pronounce your last name, Renee? Myrie?
Myrie. You said it right.
Hey, you know, 5th grade paid off. Nico Sanders is also hanging out. Look, you're watching a show that now is on the platform of a few different places: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're tuning into. But if you visit us at afro.com, we've been telling stories for our community. And somebody says positive energy, bringing the positive energy. You can find the negative energy everywhere. And that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to uplift, empower, educate, inform, instill some hope, instill some drive, something for you to do. It's something for you to do outside of your just basic things that you do for your basic family, but there's something that you can do. Dominique asked, what are you expecting donations for? Dominique Jones, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Dominique Jones. If you could just email us directly at bemorehiphoplegacyforlife@gmail.com, we will give you a link to the partnering mission-based nonprofits that have missions to help the unhoused, and we are expecting them closer. We take donations the centers themselves will take donations all year long. But for this particular day, we start ramping up, accepting donations closer to September. I would like to also mention that in August, the Hip Hop Day of Service Committee, we're planning a appreciation day for those volunteers and organizations that have partnered with the Hip Hop Day of Service. In addition to us at the Franciscan Center, we also had a church to partner, Fulton Baptist Church on North Avenue, that happened in the epicenter of the Freddie Gray riots. The pastor of that church expressed an interest in partnering in addition to other partners. So the vision is to have the annual day, but also to have other mission-based organizations to join the cause. So the committee here today is to talk about the message, to get ahead of the branding, and just to make awareness. Positive energy, Impeccable, was what it really was about. It was really a beautiful sight to not only see that those that were being served had a sense of joy or nostalgia, remembering some of the music. We had DJ Focus to serve as the DJ, and he was charged with playing family friendly, intergenerational music. And it was just a really good vibe, and to see people dancing. Nico could talk about some other sponsors that we had to sponsor the latest event. Nico, if you could share about that, because there were a number of other community partners or supporters as well.
Yeah, when you were talking about the music, I just remember before I let you, I was in my mind, that's what I was listening to.
Oh, Nico, that's how you felt?
Yeah.
Hey, well, since you right there, Nico, before you get into it, let's bring the music into it, because the music can bring us all together, right?
I agree.
Do you know that song is a breakup song?
Is it?
What's the word? What's the first line of
Before I Let You Go?
Yeah. Who knows it? Y'all all sing it at the party.
Right.
You what? You make
me happy.
Right. But when you go look at the lyrics, it says you made.
Oh.
We party off that song. Look, when you go down the road of the lyrics, it says, I want to make sure I'm right before I let you go. He about to break up. That's a breakup song. But anyway, go ahead, Nico, since you brought it up.
I think if anybody played that,
since we talk about the message.
No, I think if anybody played that as a breakup song, I think people would probably be two-stepping and wouldn't even hear that they're about to lose their relationship. When we talk about words matter, we talk about music matters, right? Music is of inspiration. When we talk about the need for youth and what we're doing, some of the sponsors that we had was from the city of Baltimore, Health Department, Bimbo Bakery, which was a great partner that supplies a lot of baked goods, from bread to pastries and everything in between, to a lot of the grocery stores up and down the East Coast. Was proud to be a sponsor of that. And so we're very thankful to Bimbo for all that they've done. I would say with that, in addition to having so many different people to come out to donate their time, right? We know that time is more important than money. And anybody with a lot of money would tell you if they could get more time, they would give up quite a bit of money to get that. And so people's time was definitely appreciative to come out to support from some of the youth groups and schools. And as Dr. Pearl mentioned, some of the universities from Morgan and Coppin, among others, participated this year. It's important that we talk about advocacy, right? Especially, again, going back to the climate that we're in. If we're not advocating for ourselves, right, we talk about Black people and what we need, nobody's going to do it for us. And I think, in fact, when you said it best, nobody's saving us. And so we've got to save ourselves. And when we see people like us that are on the street, one of the things that we have to remember is that it could be us. When we look at the thousands of people who are losing their government jobs, or as we would say in the community, the good government job, right? That was safe for you to have in the midst of folks that were losing their jobs in over the decades. Your job was safe because government still needed to operate. Under this current administration, no one is safe. And so those people who have had careers where they've invested decades in serving, the government and working for the greater good for the people of this country, they too can be unhoused at any given moment. And so we have to remind ourselves to give others grace as we would ask grace for ourselves, to know that that person, and we don't know their story, right? And so we want to make sure that we are helping to lift them out and up from wherever they are. And I think that's very important.
Let's everybody speak on time. Well, just a quick side note, Nico. Did you know Charlie Wilson was unhoused?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
For about 20 years before he, and you're like, Charlie Wilson? And I heard you speak on En Vogue, member, was unhoused. So I don't know what the statistics are about that. The Black family of how many paychecks you're away from not being able to, just pay for your lifestyle, or just living, forget lifestyle, just to handle the basics. I think
Impeccable. I actually have met some scholars in my classroom, students in my classroom, that eventually confessed that they were unhoused, especially at the time of Hurricane Katrina, when many people migrated to Baltimore. It was one particular student at the time. He lived in his truck. Of course, once that information was made known, as a university, we try to provide services, but we don't know what the face of an unhoused individual looks like. And when Renee talked about when we showed up on that day, it was like, oh my goodness, it was the line Impeccable really was wrapped around Maryland Avenue. I believe that's the street. And we were very concerned that if we had enough supplies, because the supplies that were donated, it was a call to action. We put it on Eventbrite. We were on WJZ TV. Some people who showed up heard us talk that morning, that Saturday. And it was just a call for young people, next gen leaders, to come and be a part of the movement to make a difference. And when Nico and I showed up, it was like, oh my goodness, are we going to have enough? But the beauty about that, it's sad that it was so many people that were in line. It's nothing beautiful about that, because we all need to have access to safe and affordable housing. That should never be an option. But the beauty about the response of this initiative, you had college students, young people bringing their used hoodies and other in-kind donations, and Impeccable things were just dropping off. Like, here's some hoodies, here's some things. And we had so much, and I think Renee can testify to this, we had so many things, in-kind donations at the end, that we were just begging people to come who were in need. And the face, you don't know, because when the individual was showing up, you cannot put, this is what an unhoused individual looks like. And I agree with what you just said.
That's good. Renee, jump in.
So to take over and answer that question, there is no look. I finished my undergraduate degree at SUNY Brockport in Brockport, New York, partially sleeping in my truck. I mean, you're going to show up just like everybody else. Motel 6, pay for nights when you can, somebody's couch, somebody's family members, a few people on there from upstate New York who remember that period of time. Finishing school, it's a hustle plan where it's like I have to get through this stage, this moment. With everything going on in our economy right now, there are several people who are working class poor. They work a full-time job. There's this assumption that people are not trying. They're not pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. That this country likes to push that narrative. And it's just that there are people who work full-time and don't have enough. There are people who are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, so there is no look in that people could be a coworker. It could be that student in your class who's right on sharp with the answer. We don't know what people are struggling with, and this is why it's important to give grace and to give back. I know some people, when they spring cleaning, they're throwing away things. Somebody can use it, you know, regardless of the size, the style. Oh, it's out of season. People don't care. It's keeping them warm at night, you know. And so this is why there's always a cry for action to please give back. You know, it's not always financial. We understand that. You know, it can be gently used undergarments, socks, things you wouldn't even think to donate. And it's important because there are several, not just college students, working class people, family, people living in their van, and they'll heat it up just long enough to get warmth just to get through the night. Several churches are giving back, but they're being depleted because there's not enough people giving. We have Maryland Food Bank and other people who are giving. One of my mentors through this job, Miss Stacy at the Shield, she'll tell you with donations and stuff, we'll put boxes out. We're not always getting people who will give, you know, so just we want to push for that. And in addition to that, when we're talking about celebrities, Tupac Shakur, Oprah, there's quite a few who experience homelessness and then in the end, millionaires, you know, so whatever chapter, whatever struggle, whatever you're going through right now, just know that it can change. And so we always want to be positive. Anybody who's worked with me knows energy all day, you know, so we just want to make sure that people are encouraged and that those who are in a better place where they can give something, whether even if it's just old sheets and blankets, just something, but not always things that you would see as trash, you know.
Absolutely.
Things that are of good value as well. We don't want to seem like we're giving away scraps to people. No.
Yeah.
Put that in there, please.
Yeah, my pastor used to say, if you don't knock on wear it, don't give it away.
Yeah.
And everybody got some stuff.
Mhm.
Y'all got tight stuff in your closet right now.
Yes.
That if you go in your closet, you'd be happy that you decluttered it. You didn't even know you had that. I mean, you have that tight stuff, but you just leave it hanging up or it's on.
Impeccable.
You know,
You know how I go. I'm gonna lose 10 pounds and get back
in
in.
your attic. You're not losing no weight. Come on, who you tripping? I'm not saying that to the people who really want to lose weight, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean,
We do understand impeccable.
Go ahead. I'm
We-
sorry.
we
I'm about to
do-
get on my box about weight.
Yeah. Listen, don't hold on to it hoping for 20 pounds. It's a blessing to be a blessing. Let it go. It'll come
And,
back.
you know, I'm sorry for interjecting, but we do understand, and the quality. It's not just we had a situation where one of the participants who was receiving a nice leather jacket. I thought it was a beautiful leather jacket, and as he was walking away, he turned around. He said, "I'm going to give this back." And I was like, "Why?" It was a beautiful leather jacket, impeccable. He said, "I can't fit it." And when we think about what this gentleman was saying, it's not that he just needed, but whatever type of support or in-kind donations or assistance, the core values of the Hip Hop Day of Service is all about integrity, respect, making sure that we take care of, it says, "I am my brother's keeper." I know that there was conversation more about feeding a fish. We talked about expanding it to more workshops. So people can, we could talk about the resources that we had that was available. And Nico, if you could share about the resources as we were trying to not just help our brothers and sisters or those that were in need, but giving them some type of resources that they can then start to empower themselves. So this is where the day of service from let's help, give in-kind donations, let's start to support the mission-based organizations with monetary donations, but let's also provide resources. So Nico, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pearl. I think one of the things that was so important that we did, because we again have to look at people as ourselves, right? And I think Impeccable's pastor said it best: don't give anything that you wouldn't wear. It's the same thing, that there is a need for everything when someone doesn't have anything. And so we did do haircuts for folks. We were able to have barbers that donated their time and were able to come out for a few hours to give haircuts to, those that needed. And that included children. We saw families that are there. I think one of the things that's imperative that we are intentional about our donations, whether it's in-kind cash donation, whether it is clothes that should be something that you could still wear, when the season is appropriate, so that we're not just giving away something that, the moths have eaten and you've got all these food stains on it. We want to make sure that we are intentional about the donations, that we are sowing seeds, right, to someone else that may need it, that they in turn would be blessed so that they can be a blessing to someone else. So we did have, again, the Baltimore City Health Department out there. Have the DJ was very inspirational. And then we were giving food away, not just through Bimbo Bakery, but hot food that they could eat on the spot. And I think those are some of the things that are important, because we have to remember people need a meal that's now, as well as something that they can eat later. Look, through Community Housing Associates, we're a nonprofit that does permanent supportive housing. I'm also the chair of the Continuum of Care, which oversees all of housing, whether it's rapid rehousing, homeless shelters, permanent supportive housing in Baltimore City. I'm fully aware of the 3,000 over people that are on the streets in Baltimore City every day. When we think about homelessness and these people that are being unhoused, we've got to look at a different outpouring of support. And again, pooling resources, getting out of these silos, identifying folks that are housed or unhoused, and how do we get them in a place that they can have stable, safe, clean housing. We know through education, as Dr. Pearl mentioned earlier, these people who are going to school, and as Renee mentioned, that they are living in their cars or in the street and still pressing forward through education. This is the same for people who may have a full ride scholarship. They have a dorm, they have food, they are getting it. They are dropping out of school. We know this through an NPR report that I think was last year that talked about that these are folks that are being identified as Black and brown people who are leaving full scholarships to come work because while they are housed, their family is unhoused. And so we've got to look at in totality, not just the one person we're helping, but the impact of the family that is impacting them. And we've got to love on them as well.
Absolutely. Look, if you just tuned in, this is the Chicken Pox powered by the Afro. I always want to say newspaper, but it's Afro News, y'all. We're a media company. You know how you change and evolve. You know, hip hop's changed and evolved. We're talking about the Hip Hop Day of Service, but we got some great champions on the line who are pushing forward, not only in our community, but for our youth, because they are our future. I remember when they used to say we were the future. You guys remember when you're in the 5th grade and we all had to sing The Greatest Love?
Yes.
Leave the children out of future. You know what I mean? I guess it's still those words.
Don't forget about wake up, everybody.
Right. Absolutely. We still have to, you know, words have power. Somebody mentioned that. And Michael, we're gonna put up the email that you can have. And I'm sure the next time, this is an awareness call. We'll have you guys come back on as we get closer to the day. And hopefully you'll have like a website or something that people can go and that we can instantly. But today is an awareness conversation. And it's awareness for you too, just to wake up, because people who, when 2025 hit, who work in the government, when I have a lot of friends who have just, you know, they're like, see you later. I mean, we got to fight it in court, but, you know, it is a lot of turmoil in the government right now. And we have to push through. And, you know, you don't know if it's going to be you. You know, it's a gospel song. They used to say it could have been me with no food and no clothes and no home. All my gospel people know about that record, or you might not even know. And the artist is slipping my mind at the moment.
I
But
often like to say, there by the grace of God goes I.
Absolutely. It could be you. You know, you living in your world thinking it's all good, grand and great until it gets shaken upside down. And then you have to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, because it could be you.
Yes.
So,
Impeccable. May I just share another point about the positive model? So our vision is to expand partnerships. So for 2023, 2024, we were able to have the first and second hip hop Day of Service at the Franciscan Center of Baltimore, which we're so grateful for. If you are an executive director, or if you work with a nonprofit that has a mission that focuses the unhoused, we look forward to partnering with you. And if you can join us in having this day, it's the 3rd Saturday of the month from 11 until 1. And the reason why November matters is because November is Hip Hop History Month, but it's also Youth Homelessness Awareness Month. So we talk about the rich history of hip hop. And one other benefit is that many nonprofits are looking for intergenerational volunteers, or to diversify younger people to volunteer within their organization. And when you have a structured event or activity like Hip Hop Day of Service, this allows students to gain resume experience, tangible leadership skills, and we're preparing. It's all about the voice, so they can be advocates. As Impeccable said, we were the future, but we're preparing next gen leaders, and their time is now to lead.
Time is now to lead. I see a lot of people chiming in from Rochester. I got a chance to visit Rochester last summer. Is that the home of Freddie Douglass?
Frederick Douglass, yes.
I called him Freddie. I'm sorry. Oh, Freddie.
But see, Rochester and Baltimore are connected in that way.
Speak on that, Renee. How I mean, we're all connected in some way, and I love the programming, and that you're going to get this right so that we can take it into other states and other cities. Once the format is perfected, we can just go forward, because there's people listening from all over. You can do something in your community, but Dr. Pearl, maybe that's your vision. But Renee, just speak on how Baltimore and Rochester are connected through Frederick Douglass.
Let's see here with the street. Now you're gonna put me on the spot as far as history.
Well, you said it.
I know, because we had field trip from my school to go walk to the cemetery. visit everything.
I mean, it's a high school in Baltimore, Douglas High, but anyway.
Listen, I know some historians. I can tap one of them in, but no, I just know we had pivotal moments with both cities. But again, to anyone looking to donate or do anything, I see a few people offering as far as clothes to give. Please scroll up at her email address. The Be More Hip Hop Legacy for Life at Gmail was given. In addition to that, it started as a grassroots initiative, but if you're open to growing it to other areas, a few people in New York and Virginia, I see in the chat now that they've hopped on. So whichever way you're looking to go, we're here to support you.
Yeah.
I would just say that, one, to give a shout out to Stacey, and Renee had mentioned her earlier, Stacey, who is an integral part of this as well. That as a native Washingtonian, Frederick Douglass played a pivotal role in D.C. And so not only is the Frederick Douglass Mansion there, I was able to be a part of to meet some of his descendants. It was sponsored by a bank at his house that he used to have on A Street, which, interesting enough, it was a stone's throw from the nation's Capitol Hill. And he sponsored uniforms and equipment for the baseball team for his kids that they played at the time. And that also was white and black kids. It was very interesting. And he was a black man who paid for that. It's important to know the history, I think, of Baltimore City as we talk about a history of creating the Red Line, all of these things that have negatively impact black people. Yet, and in fact, you said this at the very beginning of this broadcast, that all the things that black folks have created. When you hear the narrative of people saying to go back and to take our country back, if black people were to take everything that we have invented, I think this country would be without anything. People's kids would go crazy and pass out over peanut butter. You wouldn't know when to stop at a traffic light, and obesity probably would be the only thing to go down for the potato chip. But yet there's so many things, right, from plasma to heating and cooling. But we think about these things. It is imperative that we realize, as we talk about the youth or our future, there is turmoil right now, right, in social media. The negative impact of the lack of learning, and we're back to how cool it is to not learn. And so we see the negativity of violence being perpetuated by youth, but there are some fascinating things that are happening with our young people. And those that may be on a path, as Renee had talked about earlier, that may not be positive are there. I think that there is still hope for everybody. And I think that there is an opportunity that they can be not necessarily saved, but can be impressed upon that there is something greater than the life that they have selected. And that is pouring into our youth. And I think through this and through this Youth Homeless Awareness Month in November is also understanding the need that we've got to do more. And that more isn't just during November. It's preparing for November. But as you said, this information session now, that whether you're in Rochester, North Carolina, and some of these other areas, that you would tap into some of the local nonprofits that are boots on the ground, whether it's through the Continuum of Care. It's a HUD-funded program that are in all major cities and in counties, that you would tap into that, as well as to the areas that are doing permanent supportive housing and other nonprofits, whether grassroots or established, that are working directly with youth. I think it's important that we branch out to ensure that we are touching those that are close, but we also want you to be able to give to the Hip Hop Day of Service and to be a part of that. I believe we do have a landing page. I don't know if that landing page is still available.
I will provide it.
If you put it in the chat, I can get it. The private chat, I can get it up. Guys, the hour is wrapping near. This is a conversation that we're going to have you guys come back on. You're now all my friends. Tenyo, we went to school together, so she's always, Morganite for life. But we got a lot of people tuning in, and you may have just tuned in because somebody asked you to. But we are the country's oldest, I'm going to say the world's oldest Black media company, 132 years. You're now officially in the Afro archives. So as the future holds this conversation, will be in the archive. There used to be pictures in newspapers. Now, of course, there are videos. And if you go to afro.com, for less than 2 Uber Eats, I like to say, You can have a digital subscription. It's free to sign up for a newsletter. Because we don't know how these platforms, how long they're going to last, right? They might say, hey, we shutting y'all down too. Because you black people are talking too much about power. So we trying to shut you, so if they get on their high horse, we want to make sure that we can still connect. We did it when electricity was barely being invented and everything else. And we made it through much harder times than this. And, they are bombarding us with the smoke screen, guys. So it's like, don't fall for it. It's just negative. Turn the news off. Don't start the day with your news, please. And when you want to know what's happening in our community, tune in to Black media. It's like 200 Black newspapers around the country. It's also programming like Roland Martin and some other people who are for us and trying to inform us and keep us up to date with what's going on. So go to afro.com. That is not a shameless plug. That is a plug, because we have Generation Now who needs to come into our company and who actually work for us, and we need to be able to pay them so that they can continue to do the work that they do to help get the word out. So we're going to do something called Getting on the Box. And this is where you speak your truth. It could be about Hip Hop Day of Service, or you just could feel away because all of this message is piling up. Sometimes you need to just, give me a place to holler or scream. But that's what the box is all about. I appreciate all of the comments. Do us a favor, hit the little arrow that goes this way and hit share, or whatever platform you're on. If it's a share button, share it, because somebody is going to need to hear. Somebody's going to be moved like Michael to say, hey, I have 2 bags of stuff to donate. Or like Stephanie, or like Teresa, or like the conversationalist. Anybody else who's listening, who's moved, just to donate. Not jump. You got stuff, you got furniture you could give away. There's some people who need beds. There's some kids that need beds. They need dressers. They need everything. They need, forks. Not plastic forks, just forks and knives, things that could be washed. But I'm gonna let you get on the box first, Nico. We'll let the ladies go first. You are now officially on the box. Whatever you want to say, final words about just how you feeling right now. What about the Hip Hop Day of Service?
Okay. So you said you'll let Nico. Okay, Nico.
Nico's first. So we'll say.
I thought we would let the ladies go first.
No, I'm gonna let them go last.
Oh,
because the ladies, they run the world, sort of.
Yeah. Ladies run the world is what Beyonce said. I believe that. Now, listen. I would say, one, we got to have better weather. It's been too damn cold outside, and we need it to be warmer, right? That's most important. It's cold out there. We got to get some better days. I would say, in all seriousness, that folks would be inspired to do more. In the challenge that we have today, it is our right to complain. It is our right to cry, but you have to pick yourself up and know that there is something better for you. If you are not challenging yourself to do better, you are doing a disservice to not just yourself, but the people that you love and love you. We have to inspire others. One of the greatest songs that I love is Somebody Took the Time to Pray for Me and Had Me on Their Mind. It is imperative that we also are doing the same for each other, that we are thinking about each other, that we are calling to check in on each other. And when we look at this, the time that we're in today, mental health is very important. And so we want to make sure that we are taking a moment to take a step back and regroup, and that we give it 100% moving forward with a new attitude and a vision of positivity that moves us for a greater purpose and good.
Thank you, Nico, for being a part of this show.
Thank you,
I'm going to jump on the box. You said that it took the time to pray for me. Listen, so I was looking up the word service, and the action of helping or doing something for someone else. But I'm going to tell you something. When a person is hungry or unhoused, you can say, I'm going to pray for you. They don't hear it all the way. But a sandwich helps.
That's right.
So it says the action of service, not just talking about it. So what is the action that we're going to do of service? People call it a random act of kindness sometimes. They call it paying it forward. You ever just be in line if you could and pay for the person's groceries? You see them maybe looking. You see their kid with them. You know, you could do it. You could easily do it. You eat out 5 times a week. You learn how to cook. No, I'm just playing. But you could do it. I'm on the box right now, and I'm saying, get outside of yourself. Have some grace, because if you could switch places, ask Charlie Wilson, ask people from En Vogue, and it's a long list that goes on who you think would never that their money would be funny, but your money can get funny when things change in your life and life happens, right? So I'm saying have some grace and take some action. Last thing I'm gonna leave with this: I met a person from Baltimore the other day. Some people know and don't know. I'm in the music business. I manage Drew Hill. So one of Drew Hill's sister's husband said, "Yeah, Kev, I remember you from the Lord's Church up on Park Heights. Blah 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 blah." He said he was in the transition house, so he was unhoused. The church owned a couple transition houses for people who were unhoused, and he was able to come in. But now his life is on a different trajectory because everybody may just be going through a transition. So thank you, Renee, for having some grace. So Renee, you are now on the box.
Okay. All right. So I'll continue with that. Service is an action word. Love is an action word. Of course we do want the prayer, as you mentioned, but just finding ways, if you can, to give back, not excuses. We want to be solution oriented as a people. We want to make sure that we're supporting others. There are too many people that we know who are a paycheck, miss one paycheck, and it could be them. So we just want to make sure that we're doing what we can to show up. And not always just because someone's asking or, there's a week or an event, but just because, there are several ways to give back. Our information has been posted in the chat. If you guys scroll up, I just want to just command and ask others, please politely, to give as much as you can. If you can't give your time, just something so that we can continue to support. Again, this is the grassroots initiative. It's growing. So just, different ways to make sure that we're supporting Baltimore City youth and any adults in need, because there are several people who are experiencing it right now. So I just want to continue to use my time on the box to just push for that. I am a servant, so I just want to make sure that I am in any way being available. Again, I can do pickups. If you are in the DMV area, I don't mind, but I just want to make sure that we're doing more to give back, because that was a real fear for us that morning upon arrival, the day of the second annual one. So we want to make sure that we have what we can to push, because this economy calls for it, those with children especially. So please give back. It's not always money, but things that you have. And don't give junk either.
Right. Renee, you're a superstar in the Afros. I hope in the chat they love you. So the conversation has said, hey, this is interesting. And don't overthink it. You can give a smile. You can give an open heart.
Yes.
And watch it expand. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And last but not least, the visionary, Dr. Tenyo Pearl, a.k.a. Morgan State University, Morgan Bear, friend for a bunch of years. We ain't going to tell our age. I had hair when I met you. I probably had hair when I met you. So your final words, you're on the box.
Well, I'm on the box. Nico talked about what did you talk about? The ketchup and the salt and pepper. Well,
virtual, yes.
The virtual, I have my half and half, so we can't forget about that.
There you go.
On the box, my chicken box. Just just with having 20-something years of working with young people, let's just listen to our young people. Don't talk about them. Just encourage them. Help the youth to just find out what their talents, their God-ordained talents are, their abilities, and let's just push them forward so they can be the change agents. And as we all said, that there by the grace of God goes on, but the youth are the future, so it's up to us to prepare the youth. So I'm always going to advocate for our next gen leaders, Kevin. Impeccable. I'm sorry. So that's what
you call me Casey. You know me as Kevin. Like people like, where the heck the impeccable? When did you become impeccable? My name is Kevin Peck, right? And at 40, I changed. Everybody, that's when branding was coming. Everybody needs a brand. I said, I'm gonna be impeccable. It stands for Mr. Peck is able, and I spoke that about myself. So you can speak any time of the day, you can speak a good word over yourself. If you don't think nothing about yourself, you're losing the day already. You're getting beat up, no matter what they say. If you can speak something positive about yourself. And thank you, Dr. Pearl. Will you finish?
Yes, just the one final thing is that Booker T. Washington, I'm going to paraphrase, he says, the happiest are those that give for others. And it's about paying it forward, paying it back, but it's about being a part of the village so we can help make a difference. So I look forward to coming back. And
Absolutely.
everyone who
You let me know when you guys want to come back. We will schedule it. And listen, we're gonna end with this. Call a senior. I know we're talking about the youth. They are lone. There are some lonely seniors out there. There's some busy seniors out there too who are living their best life, cruising and everything else. But it's some people who your grandma, auntie, uncle, and them who ain't heard from you, and you don't want it to be at the funeral. So call them and say you love them. Don't text them because they ain't about to text too much. Unless you teach them how to FaceTime, then they cool with that. But until then, just call them, take some time out. You are not that busy. Even though you think you're that busy, you're really not. You can easily pick the phone up on your way to somewhere, running an errand, and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. I love you, blah, blah, blah. You want me to stop by? Now, this is when it's really going to inconvenience your schedule. Would you like me to stop by the store and get you something? Could you do that? Oh, my God, that's going to tear your schedule up. I think it's not. But they would love it if you did it and stop by. They got something that needs to be moved. They probably have some clothes that could be donated for the unhoused. I'm looking for y'all to do something, please. This is not an urge. This is a push when we need it the most, and really lock into the Black media because they're gonna be the true voice. And at least at the Afro, we're always gonna be the true voice and speak truth to power. So until next time, God willing, bless every one of you guys' ventures, your businesses, your families. And may you continue to prosper and really do great, not just good in the world, but great. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.